Great news this week! We decided to expand the team and I'm very excited to introduce AJ. He's a developer and he's going to help with programming on Nanuka. Until now, I've been handling all aspects of the engine and game development myself. Nanuka is an ambitious project with a lot of work still ahead, including adding more levels. With AJ on board, we'll be able to simultaneously add content and features and speed up development. On my side, I've recently been focusing on improving the combat system.
For those of you who don't know, Nanuka's Secret of the Shattering Moon is a colorful 2D action platformer set in a cartoony world. Our game focuses on providing a silly and lighthearted adventure with an emphasis on our vibrant handcrafted pixel art. If you like what you're seeing, we've left a link in the description that leads to our page on Steam, where you can wishlist our game to support our development and be notified on its launch.
We introduced a new mechanic where a barrier activates when you enter a specific screen or area, triggering waves of enemy that must be defeated to progress. We also added flying enemies and implemented a combo system that works both on the ground and in mid-air.
With the addition of a new team member, we now had a chance to review our current state of the combat. We had put a pin on it for some time, but we decided that now was the perfect time to really begin polishing our combat system. The functionalities were all there. Our main focus was on making the combat as rewarding and satisfying as possible. We experimented with all sorts of things: screen shake, flashy effects, frame freezes, bouncy physics, and quick combos. Our final result was a beat-em-up inspired fighting style, mixed with fluid movement and lots of jumping. This meant we also had to create some more enemies to test our combat on. I got to work on some concept art for our Japanese mythology-inspired creatures. Aside from the default melee and ranged enemies, we have now implemented and are testing a flying enemy. We want to have the same feeling of pressure that beat-em-up games achieve with their number of enemies circling around you. But since Nanuka is a 2D platformer, we didn't have much space to place enemies on the floor. That's why these new flying enemies bring a whole new layer of depth into Nanuka's combat.
As a new programmer, one of my first tasks was the implementation of some new objects. The first of these objects was the big bubble, the bearing of the bubble. While the regular bubble works as a spring for Nanuka to bounce off of, the big bubble instead traps Nanuka inside itself and floats upwards. With level 11 and 12 successfully prototyped, it was then onto the next object, the shooting ghost. When Nanuka approaches this object, it swallows it up, and when you press the jump button, it spits her out.
With the combat mechanic now finalized, we are ready to introduce lots of enemies to the game. Designing and coding the behaviors for these enemies has been fun, and each type adds something unique to the gameplay. Today, I want to share details about 3 of these new enemies. One of them is an evolution of the flying enemy we mentioned previously. This time, the enemy can drop a bomb that explodes a few seconds later. This forces Nanuka to move quickly to dodge the bombs, and it combines nicely with the platforming. Another new enemy is a big guy with a silly walk. In addition to melee combat, he can also jump and slam to the ground, creating a shockwave that damages Nanuka if she's too close. The third enemy is a big creature that rolls and charges when Nanuka is nearby, dealing damage if she doesn't react in time. The player can either jump over it or land a well-timed punch to stop its rampage. The cool thing is that once you got different types of enemies on the screen, they combine to ramp up the fun and keep you entertained during a combat section.
While working on the game, Tom and I also got to rework the hero image. Nanuka's main promotional art has become relatively outdated and doesn't match the vibe we are going for. When showing people our Steam page, the bright sky and happy cartoony characters make the game appear too much like a children's game. Nanuka is meant to draw inspiration from the 80s and 90s style animations, which are cool and action-packed. To properly convey that, Tom drew a more action-heavy version. The poses are more dynamic and the composition is more explosive. We also changed the color palette into a more ominous dark purple, which makes Nanuka's white outfit and hair stand out a lot more. With these changes, Nanuka's hero image now looks a lot more in line with what the game is about. Tom and I also got to rework.
Let's spread face now.
And deactivate alternate.
I wouldn't be able to say it.